Hello. To those who don't already know me, my name is Mr. O'Neill and I'm the curriculum leader for English. The first thing that I'd like to um, discuss in relation to English is the fact that in English at GCSE, Key Stage 4, there are two separate qualifications that will be studied. GCSE English Language and also as a separate qualification, GCSE English Literature. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what the course will cover. So we build on all the skills that we have learned at Key Stage 3 in relation to Key Stage 4. We start our course by introducing our students to all of the GCSE English Literature set texts that they will study, from Macbeth to poetry, plays, Inspector Calls to the novella Christmas Carol. So we will cover all of those set texts in depth and detail, where students will really fully understand the plots, the themes and characters of those texts before moving on to studying English language in term 3 of year 10, when we'll introduce the necessary skills to be successful in the two papers of fiction and non-fiction. So in relation to English language then, a bit more depth and detail. So there are two components that students will need to explore and then be able to write about in their exams. So component 1, which is essentially paper 1 of the exam, students will be tested on their reading and writing ability of fiction. So they will read a fiction text and answer some questions on that, which will test their comprehension and understanding. And then they will also be required to write a narrative. So all of these skills we will explore so students are successful on that paper. And then for component 2, students will study non-fiction texts, of which there will be 2 from different periods in time, so one from the 19th century and one from the 20th and 20th century, where they will be exploring comparative skills and looking at non-fiction texts. That would be a 2-hour exam, and that would constitute 60% of the overall grade for English language. In addition to the 2 papers that students will sit, there is also a spoken language assessment. This is a non-examined assessment. There will be a presentation and a speech that students will have to deliver, and this will form part of a separate qualification within their GCSE certificate. Okay, in relation to GCSE English Literature then, and what that course entails. So throughout their studies of English literature, students will be exposed to one full Shakespeare play, which at the Vale we study Macbeth, and for the rest of component 1 they will study the EDUCAS Poetry Anthology, of which there are 18 poems that we will delve into and explore, ready for their exam at the end of the 2 years, where they will be completing a poetry analysis of one poem and then comparing it to another poem within the anthology. That constitutes 40% of the GCSE English Literature qualification. They'll also be studying some drama text, which we study in Inspector Calls, a prose text, which would be a Christmas Carol, which has to be from the 19th century, and then we will also practice unseen poetry skills. That exam would be worth 60% and would be 2 hours and 30 minutes. So what can students expect from English at Key Stage 4? Very much a continuation of Key Stage 3. They'll be expected to complete drill tasks where they're retrieving lots of quotations. This has particular importance in Key Stage 4 because there are lots of quotations that students are going to have to learn because it's a closed book examination. So we'll be testing students regularly on their quotations and drilling them so that they understand the quotations, they can recall them and explain the importance of them. A lot of time in year 10 is spent on close reading and a focus on in-depth annotation. So except from an Inspector Calls, students will get a full copy of the text which we will annotate in lessons, which will become a really important resource for students in the lead up to their exams, so that when we're in year 11 we spend less time on understanding the text and kind of honing the analytical skills, the essay writing skills. In year 11 they will have that resource with them with all of the annotations that they need. Moving to the end of year 10 and then into year 11, students will experience lots of walking, talking mocks, where we introduce students to the idea of extended writing and really guide them on that process of what is the expectations in relation to the exams, and they will be experiencing lots of live modelling, which will happen in the walking talking mocks, but also in the lessons where they'll be able to see how to attain the kind of the higher grades in the within the qualification. There'll be lots of low stakes quizzes and testing of quotations and testing of themes and testing of plot knowledge, so that they really kind of become confident in that. And as expected within English, there will be timed written responses and also the opportunity for redrafting of essays and kind of questions as part of our demonstrate and connect marking. So next steps then, after studying the GCSEs and hopefully gaining the grades that students feel that they can reach and achieve, we would expect students to be going on to study A-levels or T-levels, going on to BTEC qualifications or apprenticeships. Obviously, ideally, we'd like students to carry on their English studies by studying English literature or English language or media here at the Vale, but at lots of other providers. And often students not sure necessarily what roles they can go on to by acquiring a qualifications in English and ultimately perhaps a degree in English. So as you can see on the screen here, there's lots of roles and occupations that an English degree would be a good pathway into. So from being a copywriter, journalism, screenwriting, researchers, librarian, and a whole list of other things in relation to marketing, also human resources, teaching, of course. Really, the English opens up the doors to many career pathways. As always, if you have any more questions, if you just contact the school, and one of the English team will be happy to answer any more questions that you may have in relation to the study of GCSE, English literature and English language.